Welcome back to the Advent Calendar House, the official holiday podcast of ducks that cook and eat turkeys. And talking animal hierarchy right out of the gate can only mean we've entered the Disney universe for a look at 1999's direct-to-video special, Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas. I'm waterfowl trapped in an endless time loop in a cabin in the woods, Mike Westfall. And joining me in this calendar prison are my friends from the archive, John Dedeke and Drew Crowley. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Hello.
Thank you.
So, did I read right that this is new to you both?
Yes.
Well, there's an asterisk around my response to that.
Okay.
Yes, this is the first time that I've ever watched this while paying attention to it.
Okay.
But upon closer review, I realized that I was exposed quite regularly to Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas in 1999 when it was released while I was working at a video store in the mall, and it was regularly on in-store play. But I think it was mostly played during the holiday season when I never really had time to stand around and watch the TVs, so it was fairly fresh.
You know, I think they actually played it, or clips of it, when I worked at a record store in 2000.
Whoa.
The same boat. But yeah,
They did not play it at the frozen custard stand that I worked at.
Well. So yeah, we're talking November 1999. This was released directly to VHS. And by then, we're already in the thick of what I've affectionately called in the past the attack of the Disney sequels. So Disney,
the direct-to-video sequels, no less.
That started with the Return of Jafar in, I think, 1995. So we've already been there.
Someone's heinous wish on Jafar's lamp was to have more Disney sequels.
That explains so much. But this appears to be one of, if not the first, non-sequel direct-to-video movie from Disney. Now, Wikipedia lumps Pooh's Grand Adventure in that category, but I don't know whether to call shenanigans on that.
Yeah, and this one really, too, seems like, I guess you could, it is definitely original, but it's not, well, yeah. Put an asterisk on that one, too.
Yeah.
But it is it's an original release, but it's not a feature. It's an anthology.
I was just going to say, can you count this as a feature?
Well, Disney does, so whatever I say goes.
This will be listed on the features tab of Disney Plus.
There was one point where John and I on the archive did, a series on all the Disney features, and they have a website that lists them, like what they consider their official line of features.
Yes.
And I don't think that this was on there.
No, it is not part of that canon, though. The other such films that are split up in the segments are, but that was like during and right after World War II, so quite removed. But you had like Make Mine Music and I can't even remember all of them.
The
Melody
Ichabod
Time.
Crane.
Melody Time, yeah.
Ichabod Crane, Mr. Toad.
Yep. And then the Three Caballeros, that's considered an official feature.
Saludos, amigos. That's the movie?
That's it. But like those, Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas is split up into 3 segments linked by 3 simple gifts, as we're told by our narrator, Kelsey Grammer.
Right. I thought he was good.
Yeah, he did a good job.
I think he did fine.
He had a good, gentle holiday voice.
Yes.
What Cheers wasn't going anymore at this point, right?
No,
that was long done.
No, he was in Frasier mode.
He's in Frasier mode. He's living off that Frasier money at this point.
And doing the occasional appearance as Sideshow Bob.
All right.
But our first of these 3 gifts is a toy sailboat, which brings us into our first segment, Stuck on Christmas, starring Donald Duck and his nephews in a retelling of the short story Christmas Every Day by author William Dean Howells, originally published in 1892. But since that's super old, everyone just thinks this is a ripoff of Groundhog Day.
Yeah, I was just going to say. That was what came to mind for me.
Oh, yeah. So,
it's weird to see Donald's nephews. So I recently have watched the new DuckTales, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And have somewhat gotten used to Huey, Dewey, and Louie in that version. And so it was interesting. I had gotten used to them enough that it was weird to hear the original voices of those three, or at least the original DuckTales voices. Right. I don't know if the early nephews were.
They just sounded like Mini
Russie
Donalds.
Taylor or whatever.
No. In the beginning, they all just sounded like Mini Donalds.
Right.
But
not Minnie Mouse Donalds, but miniature Donalds is what you're saying.
No. The Russie Taylor versions from DuckTales do sound like Minnie Mouse Donalds because she's also the voice of Minnie Mouse.
Right.
Yeah, and that was kind of a reverting back to that because this was after Quack Pack. If you remember that.
This was after Quack Pack.
This was after Quack Pack.
No way.
And I believe that was the first time each nephew had a distinct voice. But no, we're back to Russie Taylor in this universe or time.
I'm surprised this is post Quack Pack.
That started, I think, in 96. So.
Wow. And in Quack Pack, they were also given differing kind of outfits.
That's right.
I think this one is my favorite of the three in this anthology. And I feel like the nephews are also aged up a bit from their DuckTales years.
I think you're right. Now that you mention it, I didn't even think about that until now, but
I only say that in as far as height. I feel like they're taller.
Yeah.
Well, that would make sense given that this is chronologically a little bit past. So it stands to reason that you're catching up with these adolescent ducks in their middle school years.
Time works very oddly throughout this whole production. We'll get to a little bit of what I mean later, but for now,
I really want these. I really want Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas to exist in a timeline where the characters are constantly aging. So that if they were to make Thrice Upon a Christmas today, that those nephews, would be in their 20s at this point or something.
There we go. I'd be down.
Has there ever been a version of Huey, Dewey, and Louie that were, say, beyond teenagers that either of you know about?
Not that I know of. I think Quack Pack is the closest they've come to.
That's like the oldest they've got. Yeah. And they're very hip. In Quack Pack. I'm looking this up just to see if that's ever happened. I feel like DuckTales could potentially have had some kind of time travel situation. That would have showed them.
Been DuckTales, but...
And I'm right.
Oh, what did you find?
Sort of. There's an episode called Duck to the Future.
Happy Duck to the Future Day.
It's episode 52. If you didn't know, the title's a reference to Back to the Future.
Oh, I'm looking at the picture now.
Are you looking at the photo?
Yes. So it's Huey, Dewey, and Louie in kind of portly almost adult bodies, but they're regular childish heads.
It's quite a letdown. Whereas Webby, there's also an image of Webigail having grown up.
Oh dear.
Much more interesting, much more interesting, what's the word I'm looking for?
She looks like she.
I don't know.
She looks like she's dressed for some space age future.
Exactly.
And all of her body has grown, including her hair.
Whereas Huey, Dewey, and Louie's heads have not grown.
No.
And they're still wearing their hats, but they're in suits.
Though it looks like Louie might have a comb over going on. It's hard to tell because he's wearing a hat.
Oh, you're right. No, yeah, they all do have kind of longer hair. All right. Sorry, that was a...
No, that's fine.
That answers my question.
There we go. Back to this time travel story where Huey, Dewey, and Louie wake up one Christmas morning to the sound of Chip and Dale, who live in a hollow tree outside the bedroom window of their house in the middle of a snow-covered nowhere.
Right.
Is that where they live, or is that a holiday home?
I'm going with holiday home.
That's what I'm thinking. Because there's nothing.
They got to be careful of the icy patch.
So they holiday where it's cold.
Well, for Christmas.
Or are you saying it's their Christmas holiday?
It's their Christmas holiday home. I mean, it might be nice in the summertime. I don't know. John Denver, Rocky Mountain Holiday.
The Chip and Dale are like playing with a model train, aren't they?
Yes, but it only goes around the Christmas tree. But it's just their size.
I forget what what do they say? There's some...
They say, all aboard, next stop, Waterville. Which is not a place that I know of in Disney canon. I know there's a Waterville in Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. But no, we are. Yeah, that's not Disney. But Henson kept that one.
Yeah.
But that is kind of intriguing because there are some, I would say, relatively obscure references throughout this whole collection.
There are
I say relatively obscure because they're like in the grand scheme of Disney references. I guess maybe they're not so obscure, but for a movie that is ostensibly supposed to distract your children while you're wrapping Christmas presents or whatever, which I assume was the original intention of this production, it seems strange that they went to such levels to include some references. So who knows? Maybe one of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screenwriters on this production is a fan of Emmett Otter.
Very possible. Well, the three rush downstairs to open their gifts to the chagrin of their Uncle Donald, who angrily reminds them they're supposed to wait for the family to arrive, which they immediately do. We have Uncle Scrooge, played by Alan Young, and again, this is the DuckTales incarnation of Scrooge, not the Mickey's Christmas Carol Scrooge. So this one loves Christmas.
Right.
We have Daisy Duck, and this is the first time she is voiced by Tress MacNeille.
Donald, they're just enjoying my Christmas dinner.
And who still voices Daisy Duck. But if you are not familiar with that name, she has been Babs Bunny and Dot Warner from Animaniacs and Principal Skinner's mother on The Simpsons.
She is a voice acting luminary.
Indeed. And Tress MacNeille is also the voice of our third house guest, the very tall and overly affectionate Aunt Gertie, whom I don't believe we've ever seen before on TV, but she is apparently an established character in Donald Duck comic lore named Gertie Goose.
Well, is she, in the comic lore, is she a relative?
She is a great aunt to Donald. So out on the internet, there is a comically enormous handmade duck family tree.
Yeah.
Which I am putting in the show notes because it is very huge. Someone has taken a painstaking amount of time piecing all these things together.
It's huge and very poorly done. Because I could not figure out what certain connections meant. And if I'm right, it's alleging that Donald and Daisy have 7 children.
Wow.
Well, no, that is what they're alleging. At least in various timelines. They don't kind of split up that. So at one point, Donald and Daisy may have had 3 children, either in a dream sequence. They're probably putting dream sequences in this. But in some comic instance, there were 7 individual children that this person counted. Were claimed by Donald and Daisy. But, so
that thing is impossible to read. This family tree.
So they pulled out Aunt Gertie somewhere out of this giant family tree in comic book lore. But as far as animation is concerned, she only exists inside this segment of a Christmas special.
But she's a great addition.
She is.
Oh, yeah. She is basically that one relative that is just very affectionate and comes in.
Where are my boys? Where are my kisses? Oh, I could just eat you up.
Christmas Day zooms by as it always does. The boys go out and ride their new sleds. They pig out at dinner, and I hinted at this at the top. For dinner, Daisy, a duck, cooks a turkey.
Right.
So ducks and geese are established as higher on the food chain than turkeys, and I'm assuming chickens. Did they have to fight that out?
That's a good question.
I just assumed they have like kind of a rotation going for holidays, and maybe like at Christmas or at Easter, like the turkeys and the geese are, friends, and they cook a duck. And then maybe like for 4th of July, it's the turkeys and the ducks that, have a goose for
4th of July.
For dinner.
It's like it's the turducken Hunger Games. That's why they're in the middle of the wilderness, isn't it?
Yeah.
That stands to reason.
Yeah.
It all makes so much sense now. Well, bedtime arrives, and Huey, Dewey, and Louie reluctantly trudge upstairs, wishing Christmas and the turducken Hunger Games could last longer. And that's when they decide to wish upon a star that it could be Christmas every day. And it's Disney, y'all, so wishing upon a star is already established as working.
Yeah.
They wrote a whole song about it. We talked about it before. So, of course, they wake up to the same rambunctious noise of Chip and Dale riding their new toy train and realize it's Christmas again.
It would have been fun if this had been Rescue Rangers Chip and Dale.
Oh, it would have been in the bomber jacket.
Yeah, and in the Hawaiian.
Magnum PI.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But only the 3 nephews realize that it's Christmas again, so they enjoy this for a few days until the reality of repeating the same day trapped in a time loop starts to wear on them. Now,
they kind of learn the same. Well, I don't want to jump ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say they kind of learn the same lesson that Bill Murray does in Groundhog Day. And they follow a very similar trajectory, I feel.
There are a lot of similar beats here. Not all of the Groundhog Day beats.
No.
No. They're not out
Some of the more dour ones are not represented here.
But unlike Groundhog Day, the nephews appear to retain certain physicalities over each recurring day. Like Louis mentions, if he eats another turkey, he'll burst. And he briefly appears to have a full stomach one morning. So now I'm wondering if this continued longer, would they age?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And would the family ever catch on? Would Aunt Gertie show up and be like, wow, you really did get so big?
It's been so long since you've never seen me on television. After that observation, they decide one day to change it up and be even bigger jerks to everyone. So they open and play with their toys early and wreck breakfast. And approaching Aunt Gertie, who is, again, that she wants her kisses when she gets in. So they approach her in full scuba gear.
It was a great shot.
That was a great shot. And swapping Daisy's cooked turkey with a live one, causing Christmas ruining chaos that destroys everything in the house.
In the earlier iterations of the day, when they're at dinner, and I feel like the boys are pretty rambunctious throughout at dinner, and it just sort of like escalates.
Yes.
But early on, Daisy's kind of cool with it, isn't she? She's like Donald's getting agitated. And he's like, you boys need to chill out.
Right.
And Daisy's like, Donald, you need to chill out. Like, I think they like burp or something, or they make some kind of, crude noises. and she's like flattered by it, it seems.
Well, they warm up to her. It's just like, we love your cooking, Auntie.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Which, depending on the show or the medium, like, sometimes they add Aunt, sometimes they don't. But here she is, Aunt Daisy.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yes. Well, they immediately regret this last decision when they see an utterly defeated Donald lying under a toppled Christmas tree, and that's when they notice the card they've never bothered to read that went with their sleds. And it's the old Christmas is about more than gifts, it's about love and family.
That old yarn.
It hits them right in the feelings.
Yeah.
And they decide to make the following day the best Christmas ever.
Yeah. I was just going to say I really enjoyed their sort of final Christmas day.
Yeah, well, we see them staying up all night working on something, and then the following day, they go through a much more courteous Christmas, this time making Donald look like even more of a jerk, because he knows something's up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, something is up, and the boys reveal this thing they were building overnight. It's a little wooden sailboat for Donald, out of what appears to have been their sleds.
Right.
So, here's what I want to know, when does the time loop start? Did they start building that boat after midnight?
Exactly.
It's clearly not 6 o'clock.
Yeah. When could they go downstairs to the closet and find the sleds, that they had previously sledded on?
Right.
Clean and not yet used. And
I guess at 11:59 it's the old sleds that they had used, and then midnight.
Right.
We have to assume Donald had them in there already. If not,
right,
we're in trouble.
Well, I like to believe that this was actually like a multi time loop day process, and they were actually like they found a way to like stash each day's
in their stomachs.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then they just regurgitated them. Yeah.
Anything they ingest goes with them.
They're like slowly and surely Andy Dufresning this boat together.
I like I believe in the very beginning of this short, they sort of hint at Donald's love for boats because he has a clock or something.
Oh yeah,
it's like a little boat that's swaying on the waves. And it's a nice little hint that, at what's to come.
Well, and as he's snoring, he's kind of muttering in his sleep, anchors away.
Oh, yeah, and he's wearing his Captain Crunch hat through a lot of this.
Yes.
Well, I guess it's not. Captain Crunch wears his hat kind of sideways.
Right.
This is like if you took a Captain Crunch hat and turned it. So it's like Mohawk alignment.
It's like a baseball player wearing his hat crooked. That's Donald.
Yeah,
he doesn't understand how hats work. But it's hard to tell which of the nephew's actions carry over and which don't. But no matter, because this one final Christmas where the boys are kind and loving and not jerks to everyone breaks the time loop. And they even invite the turkey to dinner, in which Daisy now cooks a ham.
Did they? Does this mean that
pigs are part of the turducken Hunger Games?
Well, my question was going to be: in prior Christmases of that in their time loop, was Daisy killing this turkey? Like, is this the turkey? Did they save it? Was she?
Oh, it's hard.
Like the morning of Christmas, it's the same turkey every time that she goes out and grabs and lops its head off and plucks it and cooks it. And so
now it's not the butterfly effect, it's the turkey effect. Yeah. We have a turkey that was supposed to die for their Christmas dinner, but now it lives.
The turkey lives outside, but is eating a pig whose species we've seen live indoors and wear clothes in this universe. Are you just fair game if you don't watch your back?
Well, so I have thought about this in other iterations of Disney Duckiverse type things. And I feel like I wonder if there is like intelligent animals, like intelligent ducks, and then ones that aren't, that are more like the ducks we're familiar with. So maybe that goes for pigs, and because the ever-present like conundrum of Disney is you have Pluto, who's a dog, and is Mickey's dog, and then you have Goofy, who is a dog, but walks and talks and goes to work and has a son and
wears pants.
Right.
Well, Drew, as a relatively newer father, you will surely begin to start at one point watching Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Mm-hmm. And in that universe, there are lower totem pole ducks.
Mm.
And Donald adopts one and names it Donald Jr.
There's something really disturbing.
You never see his nephews in Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, but Donald Jr. is a recurring character.
Oh, wow.
That speaks to your theory, Drew.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely,
I cracked it.
Does. And with that wraps up the Donald segment.
Yeah.
Which brings us to our next segment, A Very Goofy Christmas. And this one stars Goofy and his son Max, who we know from Goof Troop and a Goofy movie. But speaking of weird time placements, this Max is actually younger than we've seen him ever before Goof Troop or a Goofy movie.
Yeah. And Goof Troop had, I guess if Quack Pack had existed by this point, Goof Troop must have.
Yes.
No. Yes.
Goof Troop?
It did.
Goof Troop came before Quack Pack even.
Right.
Quack Pack exists because Goof Troop did well.
Right. That's why we got Quack Pack.
When your Goof Troop begets your Quack Pack, eventually it's Once Upon a Christmas.
So on the IMDb page, it lists Max's name as Max Goof.
Yeah, that's canon.
Well, is Goofy's last name Goof?
Yep. That's official.
Did not know that.
Oh yeah.
See, I'm surprised that this all follows like this. Once Upon a Christmas is after Quack Pack and after Goof Troop, because in my head I was like, well, this must precede those because the nephews are not as old as they are in Quack Pack, and Max is not as old as he is in Goof Troop.
Yeah.
But I think I would posit that even though this shows us a younger Max, that Max is the right age compared to the nephews in the first short.
Probably right. They're about the same.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of, in my timeline idea where we're seeing them age in time, that we've got the right ages going, is what I'm saying.
I don't know how dog ears compare to duck ears. I should have looked that up. But.
Yeah.
Well, the beginning of this is Goofy and Max trying to chase down a mail truck so Max can mail his letter to Santa Claus. And then you get this late 90s extreme sports sequence of bicycling and Goofy kind of just goofying his way across the mall.
Yeah. Is this where we see CEO Shorts? Is one of those stores in the mall?
Yes. CEO
Is it?
Shorts.
That's the toy store. It's called CEO Shorts.
Yes.
Which I get that those are both, it's a play on FAO Schwartz.
Right.
And, there is a thing, such thing as a CEO, and there are such things as shorts.
I know those words, but that makes no sense.
Anyway.
But they finally catch up with the mailman, and their task complete. Max's neighbor, Pete, takes it upon himself to laugh in this child's face and tell him there's no Santa. We must establish here the rest of Pete's family, including his son PJ from Goof Troop, are nowhere to be seen in this special. It's just Pete being a jerk to the neighbor kid. Probably because he's already crushed his tiny child's heart. I don't know.
Yeah, do we think that Pete's family does exist but is not seen in this?
Yeah, did they abandon him for Christmas?
Or did he abandon them? Seems more likely.
Oh, yeah.
Could go either way here. Well, now Max is preoccupied with the possibility that Santa might not exist. And this lingers as Goofy takes him to help with the Christmas Eve dinner with some less fortunate neighbors. Always the positive role model, Goofy.
Yeah.
He's preparing dinner for some other family. And you know they're not on familiar terms because they call him Mr. Goofy. Not Mr. Goof, which is his last name. So doing Christmas right down the dressing as Santa Claus and giving out gifts. So
yeah.
An initially relieved Max, happy to see Santa in the flesh, becomes devastated as another kid inadvertently yanks off the hat and beard, revealing Max's dad.
What a dark turn.
Right?
I mean, he really takes this hard.
He is pissed. He feels tricked and betrayed. And Goofy tries in vain to cheer up his son again. And it's here I need to add that Goofy also believes in Santa Claus. Not in the cute adult wink-wink way, in the childlike, but while an adult kind of Urkel, unwavering way.
Right.
Which is kind of, if you think about it, a really brutal concept raised by this short. And I will argue that, like, all of these shorts in their own way raise some pretty heavy emotional and moral concepts. But, like, this one, like, he is not just, trying to, it's not just an expression of love for his son. He's not just trying to maintain this notion that Santa exists in order to make his son happy. He believes it to his core.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's trying to make his son happy, but he's also like, he can't even conceive of the idea that he would just be trying to make his son happy. He's just trying to tell the truth as far as he sees it.
Right.
Sure.
And his son doesn't believe him.
Yeah. Of course I'm cool to stay up all night until we actually see Santa Claus, because it's going to happen. And that's what they do. They go up on the roof. But as it gets late, and there was a false alarm at Pete's, which was
there's a Beagle Boy.
It is a Beagle Boy.
Yes.
Robbing Pete's house.
That was very exciting to me. A Beagle Boy showed up. I wonder which one.
Yeah, he doesn't have any lines or anything. He's just...
Is there a Beagle family tree online? There must be.
Well, it's Ma and all the others. But after this, Goofy slips and falls off the roof, which Max predicted because his father is Goofy.
Right.
And now that puts Goofy in a funk, and Max is the one left to try and cheer up his dad.
That was the saddest moment in this whole movie is Goofy being sad.
It is not fun seeing a dejected Goofy, people.
No.
Yeah, nothing can prepare you for that.
No. But now Max finally understands all his dad has tried to do was make everyone happy, so he takes it upon himself to dress up in his dad's Santa suit and make his way all the way down the chimney, and an overjoyed Goofy tries to get him to meet his son, of course, which leads to a chase up the chimney. Oh, he says something like, "Oh, I thought you'd be taller." Well, camera adds... Oh, I forget what he said.
Merry Christmas.
Sally, I'm so happy you came. Gosh, I thought you'd be taller. And you look trimmer than you do in your pictures.
Well, Cameron's 50 pounds.
Yeah. He's a great little Santa, Max is.
Yeah, he throws his all into it.
He is. But he loses his words at one point, and he says something like, Merry Thanksgiving, in his little kid voice. And tries to rush out of there before his dad catches on. But
right.
That leads to a chase back up the chimney and onto the roof, and Max almost falls off before he's caught at the last second by his father. But then his beard and hat fly off to the ground below, so we see what's up. And Max explains he wanted to make his dad happy like he did for everyone else. And that is when the real, actual Santa shows up at like 5 a.m. I thought the deal was he always is directly over your house and only your house at exactly midnight.
Is that canon?
I thought so. Santa slays a time machine, I believe we've established on this podcast before.
Right. Okay.
But Santa flies overhead, and Max's new snowboard kind of floats slowly down from the sleigh, passing overhead into his hands. Doesn't bother with the whole chimney thing here. That precedent was set all the way back at the end of Rudolph. Santa just takes toys out of his bag and drops them out of the sleigh.
Well, I mean, if we're this late in the evening, I'm sure he means well. I'm sure he intends to give every household the whole chimney drop, cookie taking thing. But at a certain point, he's had too many cookies. He can't eat any more cookies. And he's under a time crunch. He's got a deadline to meet.
Sure.
Yeah.
And if we're to believe that they live on the West Coast, that's one of the last time zones. So,
Are they on the West Coast?
I believe that it's hinted at that in other materials, but in the fictional state of Calisota.
What?
I believe it's like The Simpsons.
Calisota.
Yes, but
all right.
But it's apparently allegory to north of San Francisco.
Which makes sense. I mean, if he's getting a snowboard, he's going to be able to use that somewhere.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then we end with Santa blowing a bunch of snow onto Pete's driveway as a final call me fake, will you? And Goofy telling his son he already got what he needed, your happiness.
Yeah, very sweet.
I'm getting there. I'm struggling to think of what I want for Christmas. It's just like, can I just get a day to fix our sad-looking garden? That's what I want for Christmas. Well, anything else to add about A Very Goofy Christmas before we move on?
I'll just say I think that ever since becoming a new dad, my emotions are heightened, I've found. And both the scenes where Goofy is helping, like feeding that family dinner, and then also appears as Santa to those kids, I got somewhat choked up.
Yep.
I think that's legit.
Yeah.
There are some really powerful touch points throughout this. I mean, I kind of had like the reverse reaction to it. I mean, I thought all of those things were moving, but in this short, when Max is just he's pouting, he's got his head shoved into his fists, and he's like, Goofy's like, well, why don't we make some cookies? And he's like, what difference does it make? And he's so mad. And
you gotta be mad to reject cookies. The difference is you have cookies at the end.
That's the difference. But I could totally feel every wrongful pout I'd ever made in my entire life in that moment. It like all caught up to me, and I desperately wanted to grab that kid and shake him.
That brings us to our final segment, and of course the mouse has to be in the main event. It's Mickey and Minnie's Gift of the Magi. And they No.
They didn't even change the name
Nope.
for this one.
Well, because it's a Mickey, so he's esteemed enough to carry
the...
So you know, and then you know right out of the gate what to expect. And they cut to the chase pretty quickly here. Mickey wants to buy Minnie a gold chain for her watch. And Mickey is exceptionally smooth here as the boyfriend.
Yes.
He's all... You wouldn't happen to have the time, would you, Minnie? Gosh, it's
pretty good.
Watch. Bet it look really nice with the gold chain around your pretty neck. Mickey giving everybody the vapors. And Minnie wants to get Mickey a case for his harmonica, which he can't stop playing because it was never established in 70 years at the time that Mickey Mouse ever played a harmonica.
I was just going to ask, is there any precedent for this harmonica?
No. So that's why they made half of this segment Mickey wailing on one so we can make this story make sense.
I like it. I actually would be happy if this was continued to be a thing for Mickey's.
Sure, bring it back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Except now he doesn't have it.
No.
Spoiler.
Well, Mickey's working here at Crazy Pete's Christmas tree lot. So Pete's back, and now's a good time to mention, for those who don't know, I found this out much later when the kids started watching Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Pete is a cat.
What?
Really?
Yes. They call him Pete the Cat at one point in Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and that blew my mind.
Well, it makes everything make sense,
It
though.
does. And especially if you go back and you watch Steamboat Willie. He looks much more cat-like there. But nowadays, he's got that big, broad facial structure, so he looks more dog-like, and especially in Goof Troop. But if you look more closely at Goof Troop, him and even his wife and kids, they do have more of those cat-like features.
Wow.
It's like a Mandela effect. Where everybody is like, oh, Pete's a dog. Guess what? So
it's his teeth. His teeth do not look cat-like at all.
No, he's got the goofy teeth. He's got the square.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Pete's trying to push a 10-foot tree on this poor family, trying to talk them into a payment plan, and Mickey sees they're really anxious about it and sells them a smaller tree within their budget instead. And the kid's happy, everyone leaves happy, except Pete, who takes the money Mickey got for his tips and fires him. Well, first we need to mention, Pete's been smoking a cigar this whole time.
Yeah.
Which might seem shocking to some, but Disney's never really banned smoking until allegedly recently. I think Bob Iger officially allegedly banned smoking from Disney movies targeted at children in 2015, I read. But then this year, we had Incredibles 2, and Edna Mode's there with a long cigarette holder.
Well, Pixar, they know they can do what they want.
That's it. Well, smoke never comes out of it, y'all. It's just in her hand.
She did not inhale.
That's And we're back in 1999 again. So Pete pockets the money and the cigar, which sets his pants and, via domino effect, his entire tree lot on fire.
Brought it on himself.
Yep. Meanwhile, Minnie is working at the department store Mortimer's, and it's always weird to see them trying to bring back Mortimer Mouse.
Yeah.
Because they do it a little differently every time. He always resembles more of a rat than a mouse.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Usually Mortimer's either got a Weasley New York accent or it's Maurice LaMarche doing a nasally ha-cha-cha.
And maybe you guys probably knew this, but I was looking at the IMDb trivia page, and apparently Mortimer was the first name that Walt considered for Mickey Mouse.
That is correct. So that's how he became an actual character, first in the short Mickey's Rival. So they used the name Mortimer there. But here, Mortimer is Minnie's boss, voiced by Jeff Bennett, doing sort of a Frank Nelson impression. And if you don't know Frank Nelson by name, you know his trademark, yes.
I've been making a list and checking it twice, and I found that you have been Santa's best little helper this season. Your hard work is about to be rewarded.
So it's that. There's a character on The Simpsons that doesn't have a name, but it's just simply Frank Nelson type. People call him Yes. So here it's Jeff Bennett doing a Frank Nelson voice as Minnie Mouse's employer at the department store. And Minnie's been pulling all sorts of extra work to get a nice fat Christmas bonus, only to discover it's a brick of fruitcake. And it's here.
It's like the jelly of the month cub.
Well, it's here that I realize I've never had fruitcake. I don't think I've ever seen a fruitcake in real life. Is this still a Christmas thing, or is it just...
Yes. It definitely is, yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was just a trope now that we exclusively use as a gag, but fruitcake, is it as hard to eat as...
I would say no. I think fruitcake is actually pretty edible, and it's definitely a Christmas thing. Ashley, my wife's dad, would have one every year for Christmas.
Wow.
That was a staple.
I think the trick is to just pour whiskey over it, and that moistens it up real fast.
Definitely can benefit from a little added something.
They draw the line at cigars here.
As far as we know.
Yeah, right.
True. We leave Minnie devastated as we cut to Mickey trying to buy that gold chain, but he gets stopped by a group of fire volunteers trying to run a toy drive. But the band that was supposed to play is busy over at Pete's tree lot putting out the fire he started with a cigar. So they try and get Mickey to play his harmonica for them, but he really wants no part of it until he locks eyes with some sad kid giving the sad eyes. Mickey's always been a sucker for the sads.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he plays Jingle Bells, and then the band comes back in time to accompany him. And during this scene, we've got a case of Disney's favorite cost cutter, recycled animation. So Mickey does this crazy little dance and his tongue's waggling out of his mouth. And that's recycled from a 1942 short called Mickey's Birthday Party. Disney animation, the gift that keeps on giving.
That's his birthday dance, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, you could call that recycled animation. I call it consistency. I mean, if this is a dance Mickey does, why would he pull out a different dance? You know, if we've seen him.
That's
true. It's just like he's playing his trademark harmonica.
Yeah,
of course.
Yes,
his trademark harmonica that the fire chief, who thanks him, tells him he's got a great gift of music. Made the toy drive a huge success, and that gives Mickey the idea to trade in his trademark harmonica in exchange for that gold chain for Minnie.
His trademark.
Well, and Minnie's watch is apparently an heirloom that we've never heard of or seen before. It's all part of the story. But of course, in a case of just short of perfect cartoon timing, he arrives just as the shop is closing. But wait, upon hearing a dejected Mickey softly and sadly playing O Little Town of Bethlehem, the shop owner reopens the door and makes the trade. And
that shop's gonna close. He's making poor business decisions.
It's Christmas Eve. We end with Minnie revealing, of course, that she traded her watch to get Mickey a case for the harmonica, and they both are just sitting there thankful for each other in front of the fireplace.
Oh, a case for my harmonica.
Oh my, a chain from my watch. Oh, Mickey, it's beautiful. But I traded my watch to get you that case.
And I traded my harmonica to get a chain for your watch.
Oh, Mickey, I can't believe you gave up what means the most to you for me.
Oh, Minnie, you're all the music I'll ever need.
So, I recognize like this is a classic story, and so you sort of know from the from the outset how this is going to go. If you're familiar with that story, and in a way, their reaction it helps soften the irony of the story, because they do seem very legitimately happy with the resolution of how this has turned out. I, however, was watching this and I'm just trying to liken something in my life to Mickey's harmonica. And like the best thing I could come up with was like my laptop.
Your trademark laptop.
My trademark laptop. And I'm thinking, like, yes, absolutely. The important thing about Christmas is sharing time with the people you love and being warm and cozy by the fire. And yes, this is the makings of a really memorable, wonderful Christmas. But then what do you do on December 26th when you no longer have your trademark laptop or your trademark harmonica? And so as the camera pulls away from their cozy abode, I just think to myself, I picture myself sitting on that couch with this horror-struck look coming over me, with with that I don't know what my life consists of anymore.
Without your trademark.
Without my trademark harmonica. Yeah.
It's a joyless life with no music and no one knows what time it is.
Yeah. Minnie comes out on top there because she gets a gold necklace.
And a fruitcake.
And
right. That's right. She still got the fruitcake. Although Minnie is dealt short shrift in this, because I feel like the story is that they're both should be like equally trying to resolve this gift problem, right? Yeah. And we're definitely seeing way more of Mickey's struggle to get that gift. We check in with Minnie every once in a while, but we don't see sort of all of the trials that she's going through to figure out what to get Mickey.
No. They just give us visual clues. Like at the beginning, we see she's got bills piling up, and it's her cat Figaro who makes an appearance, who just kind of sits on the bills to hide them from Mickey's view.
The cat. Okay, so this further illustrates my theory. There's Figaro the cat, who's just a normal cat, and now we know that there's Pete the cat, who's a sentient, cigar smoking cat.
So there's definitely some level of enlightenment going on here. You're either a Pluto or you're a Goofy. It's the gloves. If you have the gloves and the clothes on.
Yeah.
That's probably a way to insult someone in this universe, is to like
call them a Pluto.
or refer to them as like the lower version of themselves.
Yeah. Oh man.
You don't even wear gloves.
You don't even wear pants.
Yeah. Donald doesn't wear pants.
Good point.
But he's kind of
a hybrid. He's somewhere in the middle.
If you look at Daisy, kind of her feathers look sort of like a bottom there.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Well, she's obviously a little more enlightened than Donald. So
yeah, and stylish.
Yes. And that's pretty much it. The special ends with everyone from all three segments coming back into a quick carol medley.
And this medley, it really bugs me.
Somehow I knew that was coming. I don't know why, but
it's only for the end of it, because they sing fa la 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 jingle jingle like they go into jingle
first
bells.
They go in from it. They end with "We Wish You a Merry Christmas," and then "And a Happy New Deck the Halls." So they do it twice. They need to cram in as much as they can here. Sorry, we're out of time, and here's all the songs.
I did not like it. It's mainly the Jingle Bells part I don't like. Just because no one sings Jingle Bells in that way.
No, that's true. No one sings Jingle
unfaithful
Bells.
Rendition.
Get it right. Any final thoughts on Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas?
I mean, overall, I will say, and so I had not seen this before. I was aware of it, and I did not expect much from it, but I was pleasantly surprised. I was entertained throughout. And it's always, I find that with with Disney's Fab Five, if we can refer to them in that manner, I'm always on the fence of like watching something that features them. Because I'm always wondering if it's, as a kid, it was, I enjoyed them, but will it live up to that, now as an adult? But it was good. I think they carried their stories well. And I think, those very basic character hierarchies that they all kind of fit into they work well in these kinds of stories.
Yeah, I think it's surprisingly done thing that I certainly felt at the time was just a throwaway animated special to fill a slot in their release schedule when they didn't have Pinocchio coming out for the fourth time on VHS or whatever. It really resonates pretty strongly.
And I would assume that is what it was from a business standpoint, But I think the creators of it, really did put effort into it. They could have easily kind of just crapped this thing out and called it a day. But I think they really did put something into it.
And I miss this animation style. It's very Disney afternoon, and they've kind of abandoned that these days in favor of either CGI, as we'll get to in the next episode, or this. I feel like it's a very Ren and Stimpy inspired retro with a hint of grotesque look that the new Mickey Mouse shorts are.
And I love it. I love that new.
I do. But it was nice to come back to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both for joining me for this one.
Thank you
for having us.
Drew and John will be back in our next episode where we basically do all this again, but now in 3 dimensions. So,
we're in a time loop.
Yes. So join us next time for Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas. Until then, from the Turducken Hunger Games, watch out for that icy patch. The Advent Calendar House is part of the Christmas Podcast Network. To find more shows like this one, visit ChristmasPodcastNetwork.com.
Do you love fun?
Do you love movies?
Do you love TV shows?
Do you love informative entertainment?
But most of all, do you love Christmas?
Then look no further, because we've got you covered.
It's a 90s Christmas podcast is all about the most joyful and triumphant holiday and all its media. But only as far as the 90s are concerned.
That's right, our show not only is about the cheeriest time of the year, but also the cheesiest decade in world history. If that isn't an ideal combination, I don't know what is.
Every week we will cover a movie, 2 sitcom episodes, and a Christmas special, as long as they came out between 1990 and 2002.
You can find us on iTunes, Podomatic.com, Stitcher.com, and Spotify.
I am Lyle Perez from America.
I am Lasse Vogt from Germany.
And it's a 90s Christmas podcast offering perspectives from 2 different parts of the world is waiting for you.
Have fun, and no matter where you are or when you listen to this,
a very Merry Christmas.
Next time on the Advent Calendar House.
You've loved them for years.
Come on, everybody. It's perfect.
You're gonna be great.
Now, see them in an all-new holiday adventure.
Launch!
Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas.
Hello.
Minnie, it's me.
This is Minnie Mouse. Leave me a message and have a Merry Christmas.